Beloved, we are here, we are one. Let's fucking go. Look at all you rascals. Is this the most handsome chat? Come on, guys. And gals. Marshmallow, Sage, Foos, Lovers. Dude, hey. You want the secrets, you gotta work for them, and then I spill them. Hope everyone is doing great. Happy Monday. I made it. What day is it? What year? Anything you told me, I would believe. Thursday in 1944? Why not? Why not? We are gathered, we are one. Whenever I logged into my Albert, I still had the Temple of Sekhmet up, and of Queen Maya. A place that I thought surely Fusco would die. But honestly, I thought the rest of the Homeowners Association. I was in the moment, I was like, oh man. By the way, Foos, you totally should have been given the option to dive for cover. Would it have worked? Who knows? But your autonomy was pulled away. I apologize. But guys, it's a great day to be alive. Whoo! Quick update. I'm in multiple plays, one in Long Beach, one in Topanga. My wife went back to work today. Waylon is in daycare until about 3:15 when old Papa Bear comes and grabs him. Come on. But man, oh man, oh man, oh man. It has been a lot. The commutes for these rehearsals and then the rehearsals themselves. It was very intense. Okay. I'm just reading up on what we have here. Cool. God, this next D&D session, guys, is going to be wild. Well, I appreciate the forgiveness. Cheers. Yeah, busy, good. You know, I don't know. I'm a creature of habit, and I very much like it whenever I feel like I'm locked into a groove and have a clear and accurate understanding of what will be asked of me. God, you guys had some great ideas last time. Okay, I'm just picking up. Pretty much all of this is coming with me right here. In fact, I don't even need to copy and paste it. Watch this. Watch this maneuver. They said it couldn't be done. They said I would never stream again. Liars. Each and every one of you. Can he type? I don't know. Okay, sick. Alright, guys, so we'll do the preamble at the end, per usual. You guys know the deal with this campaign. And, like, first and foremost, for real. I mean, you don't need to drop it in the chat, but I hope you're doing great. Sage, what up? You at 100%, big dog? What's going down? I am stunned that I'm here. Had so much to do this morning. And it's done, baby. So the party, late campaign, level 18. They are essentially returning to the north where a lot of this campaign has happened, Sword Coast, and are in the midst of a crucible of drow pressure and criminal subterfuge and basically, you know, underhanded destruction. This is a group called the Blind Jackals that is messing people up, betraying the north, funneling and ferreting information, revealing weak points in northern defenses. In the party, looking for the leader of the Blind Jackals and looking for solutions, were led by a changeling in disguise. And it was about as trappy as a trap could get. It was maximum trap. It was maximum. I'm not playing trap right now, but we got to shout out to H-Town, you know what I mean? So they get duped, they go in. The door seals behind them. I'm okay. Digital hug spaghetti. This is me going over your shoulder. I think you're slightly taller than me. I'm having TTRPG withdrawals because I've realized our summer break is longer than I like. Amen. Amen. I'm hoping we can squeeze in a session this week. If not, I think it'll be 3 weeks in a row. Dude, when you're used to playing every week, that withdrawal is real. Well, give me your thoughts on this, because when we come back together, I want it to be emphatic. Let me show you in the owlbear as we talk about it. This is where they'll end up. Cool, let me just get this right. Yeah, great. So they're brought in here. This is the real Bilbin. The one that they're like, holy smokes. They're heading down into this cave, which is formerly a mill built by dwarves kind of within the earth. Many of them faithful and respectful of Shantea, the goddess of harvest and grain. And the creature, the undead beast that lurked within, is essentially a lich stat block with a couple additions. And instead of a spell save at 20, I dropped it to 19 to kind of accommodate some of the additional spells that they have. And they had so many saves that were right at a 19. I mean, precisely there. One was a disintegrate on the paladin. Probably would have done her in. And I put that forward because those small little balancing things, like, we all see it. But that 1 or 2, either way, will come up. The lich had dominated the fighter, and as she was throwing down her weapons and looking with confusion and violence towards her companions, this orc lich, he's really an undead servant of Bala. I don't know exactly what to call him. Once an adventurer himself. His name is Steffentern. But he bid Gloris take from Sweetpea, the paladin, this great sword, this dragon slayer longsword. And she did. She went and wrestled it away. And as she pulled back to get close enough to this undead orc for the orc to dimension door them further into this dungeon and to the boss's lair, the paladin took her reaction and attacked. And it's a little meta. There was a lot of, like, dominate a party member and then immediately the party is attacking them. It's like, would you see a look in her eye? Yeah, man. No. That's something whenever I listened to the playback, I was like, I should not have let that happen. Oh my gosh. Forgive me, I've got Tums all over my lips. And Tums all over my Tums. Pulled away from the paladin hits, deals damage, and of course, the fighter succeeds the wisdom save, shaking off this dominate. So the lich dealt some more damage, the lair fucked them up, they got messed up, and the Steffentern, the orc, ended up just casting Dimension Door anyways. Like GTFO. You know what I mean? Like, we gotta zip, we gotta go. And did so, pulled deeper into this chamber. The map that I first opened the owlbear on. And outside the Dark Hearth, this, like, sunken mine, and I didn't put a map together for it because we didn't need it, was the last member of the party, Vexel, a half-orc rogue barbarian. And Vexel Yare is played real life by a dear friend of mine, Brandon, who had to miss, like, the last 2 or 3 weeks. And because of the fray and the chaos and the undead creatures and the swarms of skeletons and the blood goddess and her presence, I didn't want to deal with another floating non-present PC. So as they entered the Dark Hearth and it was sealed by this changeling, I told them that they noticed for the first time that Vexel was not with them. A conceit, but one we're entitled to as DMs, especially if you need to make the story better or make it work. But even whenever he came back, last session, the one we last played, I told Vexel, I was like, this is... Because he asked, he was like, did I fail a save? What happened? I was like, no, this is arbitrary. This is me justifying story, and we don't have to do this. And he was like, okay, no, cool. Now I get it. Let's do it. So he was outside the Dark Hearth, and he found some things and received a message, and then kind of realized that he was separated and rushed towards this entrance that they themselves were approaching. Ooh. It's my water bottle. Sounding nice. He found the entrance sealed. Rock covering it, floor to ceiling. And he turned back and saw his guide through these woods, Bilbin, an old dwarf that, though long in the tooth, seems quite comfortable and familiar with nature and moving through this section of the world. But Bilbin was moving fast, looking back, tumbling as he went, and trying to make haste and catch up. Vexel headed that way. He lost visual, but then started tracking, and found that essentially this leader, this changeling in disguise, was looping around in a semicircle back to where he'd left the party. Yes, Amon, my prince. It goes well. Happy Monday. Get in here. How are you? The party is deep within the Dark Hearth, a chamber controlled by a lich, and a active, claimed holy space once dedicated to Shantea, now covered in the blood of the goddess Bala. But outside the Dark Hearth and looking around was Vexel, and he'd been tracking, kind of needed 2 successes. What the shit?
There's nothing he says in here.
What happened to One River, guys? What? Someone put a Andrew Tate video in the middle of this public playlist. What the fuck is that? Excuse me, guys. This is absurd. Okay, this is crazy. I'm back. Yeah, okay, cool. And as he realized that Bilbin was making this semicircle, was heading back to sort of the beginning of the foothills of the Raven Mountains, carved into the side and kind of bottom of which was this open hearth into the cave itself, he saw Bilbin heading up about 250 feet up the slopes. And with him was another larger figure. And he approached stealthily, and as he crested the hill, saw in conversation a man the party has very much been seeking. Trent Puergraf.
You did good, kid. You did good. You sorta... I didn't know it'd be that hard, but they fell right into it. Why don't you get back to Bixby Creek and await further instructions?
And instead of Bilbin the dwarf, Trent was talking to this changeling in true form. Earless, almost translucent skin, a muted nose and lips, but eyes that danced like starlight.
It has been too long, Trent. Let it go. You have 19 days more. Do not waste them on violence. Well, those 19 days are my 19 days, right? So I'm gonna do with them what I want to do with them. Get back to Bixby.
And whatever transaction, whatever agreement and term of service between this changeling and this mob boss, ogre descendant, Trent Puergraf, seemed to be coming to a conclusion, a close. Which is just, for me, a fun little C-plot where, had the party tried to turn the changeling, they might have been able to. He hates Trent. He serves him without joy or willingness. And Trent then, as the reassumed form of Bilbin washed over this changeling, and not having a high enough perception check to spot Vexel, the changeling, whose actual name is Orestes, descended, heading back to Bixie Creek. And Trent stood there in the middle of this thrusting plateau, 300 feet above the forest floor, and dwarfed by the rising crescendo of these mountains themselves. Yet he stands in an open plain of about 200 by 150 feet, broken by some rocks and uneven ground, sure, but the majority of it showing these enormous tree trunks or roots, these vaulting circular prisms of wood and gnarled vine that don't particularly end, but crash over and into each other like serpents dashing into a lake or sharing a space. And there's a rough kind of semicircle nature to this string of twisting roots. In uttering words in abyssal and infernal, essentially an homage to the blood goddess Bala, who Trent has a pact with. And this was just color. This was just me making it work. But this is how the portals of blood work, so that's why I bring it up. But he spoke these words of power, and beneath him the earth itself yawned open like a wound in the ground. And descending into one of these risen roots that goes deeper went Trent. 7 feet, 6, 5, the circumference of this hole is shrinking. And without hesitation, Vexel dashes, moving, jumping, just making it through. But I made him roll a dexterity check, because within this, never to the sunlight exposed working of root and vine is a fair level of dirt, grime, and moss. It wasn't going to be a hard dexterity check, but he rolled an 8 or 9 on his acrobatics. He needed an 11. So he slides. He hears his rapier slam against the side of this trunk. Orestes, is that you? Trent's voice comes from the darkness deeper down this root system. And you hear the crunch of heavy footfalls as Trent returns. So Vexel is what we like to say boned. You know what I mean? Foos, I don't know what the yuck was, but I know I agree. Marshmallow, work it out. Drop it in the chat. Come on now, process. Work has a way of doing that. Thus, let us play. We jump back inside the lair, which was actively in combat, and because the dominate spell had been lost, Stefan Turn, this orcish undead caster, dimension doored deeper into the chamber. So the party moved by, and they're standing beneath a door. And again, I dropped the spell DC from 20 to 19. So to spot this symbol spell, the party needed a 19. The cleric, of course, rolled a 19. Was the surprise Andrew Tate? Exactly. How dare they? Sliding it into the middle of a rockin' playlist like that is criminal. Don't worry, I'll investigate that off stream. That was not part of my suggestions. Alright, there's no pre-roll. Somebody hacked and sabotaged a delicious public playlist. For what reason, I do not know. Well, I guess just to get Andrew Tate some fucking exposure. We're done with that. So the party spots the symbol spell. And we came up with this, I think 2 sessions ago when we were prepping. But that's right here. And it's going to be the pain symbol. And for whatever reason, I don't know why, it just really captures me. It's hard for me to not want to. I use the 3rd edition DnD spell block for symbol. It's way more grim. It's extremely intense. There's one symbol that is death, which is all creatures below 80 hit points or below die instantly with a failed save. But this one is pain. DC 19, con. All creatures are afflicted with racking pains, shooting through their bodies, aka they're 40 years old, causing a -2 penalty to dexterity and a -4 penalty to attack rolls for 2d10 turns. That's a big deal. Ash, a big deal. So they will, unless they have the wisdom to, yo, Evie, the bugle's up. We made it. They said we wouldn't make it, but we're back. Happy Monday. How you fucking doing? Ugh. I'm like, I feel like it's Sunday. It's absolutely not, but I'm just glad to be back. Hope you guys are well. But the 3rd edition symbol spell is fucking intense. Like it just has, I don't know, way more, I feel like, heavy repercussions. Not that the 5e symbol spell is lightweight, because it'll mess you up too. But if they don't dispel it, or take some means to disarm this magical spell, once they pass through, or one person passes through the doorway, it will spark this eruption of magical pain. Look out. But if they survive, if they move forward, which of course they will, it'll be an issue for them because maybe they'll be stumbling around, you know, not knowing how or what to do because they're so racked with pain. But they will make it in here to the actual crypt, the tomb itself. An offshoot of this humble and simple space, probably the reason it was built there out of necessity, but there's a whole swarm of skeletons waiting for them. There's some references to a situation they saw earlier. This people group that had worshipped Maroth the Red, this ancient red dragon that had died 600-ish years ago. But as a conceit and to also showcase the dynamics of this war of the gods within our version of the Sword Coast. I'd had Maroth be almost brought back, almost like an undead, bloodied reincarnation of itself. This was powered by the blood goddess Bala. It was done largely against Maroth's will. And I thought, why not bring back some of the people that worshipped him? And now their ever-burning fire continues, effusing and bursting around them, mixing for some reason with droplets of blood. Okay, sorry guys, I missed it. It's time for your boy to bring out the block. Yo, Eo Giovannik Krevla Yabaka. All right, that's trash. It's not even a name. Handsome guy. Handsome. But you've been banned. You've been permanently banned. Eo Giovannik Rebecca. All right, you're done. You know what's great though? Vampire spawns, which is a CR5 monster, and then fighting the verses and the wizard almost dying. I love it. Have they made it out of the death house, Marshmallow? Or are they still seeking death? Okay, cool. So they'll come first here through this enormous, like, stone, gristing mill. It's obviously, like, hasn't been in use for a very, very long time. But I'm just setting the stage that this was once a mill. It was beloved by those that were simple people, that worshipped Shantaea in the same way they worshipped the miracle of the harvest coming in. And that's, of course, to be held in contrast to Bala, the goddess that now holds sway over it, and that interaction between life and death, birth and finality, right, is so joined at the hip, which is obvious, but I feel like there's almost a violent romance, and that's what we're going to see next in the innermost chamber, where this ancient tree of Indosora grows, now corrupted by the blood goddess. But the party, possibly racked by pain, will deal with this. They'll get rushed by these skeletons. They'll be like tripping over each other. You know what I mean? And I'm just going to put these guys down here if I can. Hold up. Give me my lasso, boys. Lasso me, boys. Okay, cool. We'll rush out and get them a little bit easier. This was built into the map, and I forget who made this map. We shouted them out. I found them on Reddit. Beautiful map. Cool stuff. Evocative. Yo, Insomnia. The boy lives. Insomnia, good to see that handsome mug the other evening. Always a better world when you guys are fucking about. I mean that. But hope you're well, buddy. Hope you guys have been living and thriving and crushing it. I'm trying to decide what to set up for my 3.5 group for next week. Wow, Evie, I didn't know you were running one. That's sick. Bugles up. Is it the first sesh? I, of course, would suggest Silver Marches. Maybe the Tower of Telkun. They were going to bury Ismark's papa. Got it. Yo, dude. Good to see the man, the myth. They popped into the basement of the church and met a very hungry and crazy vampire. Been there, brother. Love hearing that, Insomnia. I love hearing that. Well, guys, we are all officially assembled. If Richter shows up, remind me that I owe him a karaoke. But hopefully he won't, because we have a lot of stuff to do and we're in a groove. So the party will come through here. They'll have no choice. All right, that's the beauty of the bottleneck. But this will kick off the... well, this will kick off the Harvester's Prayer, right? Yeah. So the Harvester's Prayer is essentially, again, just a conceit, but a way for me, hopefully, to provide the party with a compelling image of what's going on in my brain, or the lore, right, of this war of the gods. That is a struggle both ancient and renewed, right? Just like anything. We're telling stories that have been retold for centuries, and that's the beauty of human existence, right? This is perhaps living in a unique version of it, just by virtue of being yourself. But this was rune work that was more or less like, you know, prayers and mantras to Shantea, blessings and gratitude, holy words and association. It was carved here in this crypt of the Alagondars, a, you know, former ruling group of dwarves, one of which, Queen Azran Alagondar, had slew the red dragon Marath. The party knew this. It's part of the Dragon of Icespire Peak lore, but what they didn't know in our version is that they'd partially failed, that Queen Azran and her quartet of 4 additional companions had been driven back, 2 of them slain, and that she herself had used this ancient Bushayin holy site to step back in time and attempt to fight and best the dragon again. Again she failed, and a 3rd time she came up short. But on the 4th, they slew the dragon. And it was on that 4th attempt that the Dragon Slayer had been forged and enchanted with the very specific purpose of inflicting pain to red dragons. Okay. Wow. So the Harvester's Prayer now, because Bala has more or less taken over, right, and so negatively affected this space. These are big boy glugs. It's a wisdom save, or get pulled into the astral plane. Briefly. You know what? Here's the thing, though. This is why you, because otherwise I don't have a, if failed, take 1d6 force damage. Cool. You need to have something that makes it worse if you fail. But basically, each and every one of them will be pulled into these old memories. Some will be of the space itself, miners, celebrating the peace of the wild, this ancient truce forged almost 4,000 years ago by a king, the founder of Silvery Moon, called by many the first mage, Dekan Thar, and his knights in silver. There are cries also for House Halagondar, And the merriment of these dwarves is apparent and overflows. But not all are happy, and you see this litany of some half-elves, some orcs, a slew of non-dwarfs, essentially, still feeling partially spurned, partially as the enemy, perhaps. Drop this a little bit. Let me know if the music is too rocking, guys. Never want to be rocking too hard. Now, they finally left the first city. It's a homebrew setting, and I don't want it to be too in-your-face enemies. Got it. But setting up risk and danger is good. I love it. You know, I have found for low-level stuff, like a good version of like a level 4 or 5 PC build that's evil. Probably not a paladin, but maybe just a good old-fashioned fighter, maybe a warlock, hexblade kind of vibe, and giving one kind of stout PC-ish build that the DM is using as an NPC, and giving them like a beast companion, or like I don't know. They had a Gaius spell and they used it on a manticore, you know, like that. Like, I love those kind of combinations in the early stages of a campaign. Obviously, that's random, but that specific example I used in Dragon of Icespire Peak just to be like, yo, this is a wild place, you know? There's fucking danger, dog. On another note, I'm about to play a Goblin Order of the Scribes Wizard named Beatree Thaddeus Gulliver Thumberchod Redreeb. Well, Mr. or Mrs. Redreeb, Gesundheit, and good tidings. That was a mouthful. Man, you go broke buying a vowel on that one. Okay, the second memory. You see this is the continuation of the first. Miners, dwarves, their families, at peace and at home in this rock. They use zorns. They use these ancient elementals to help sniff out diamonds. These glittering caches deep within the rock. And you see this proliferate. You see the greed, the digging too deep, doors opened too far, the zorns pulling back, fearing themselves what may lurk beneath, yet spurned forward by whips and with cries. And that's just more talking about, like, how did Bala come to be here? And we'll get to more of that in the second chamber. But someone else will get this memory. You see a group of adventurers, 2 strong. Oh, fuck. Damn it. Indeed, yea, Gobbo. Ye and yea, brave Gobbo. I forgot about this. This was a shout out to my character, who was a acolyte of Shantea / what's it called? I was a bard, but I'm trying to think of oh my gosh. What's the one that was in Tasha's? I believe it starts with an I. It's like all right RP based. Anyway, I keep wanting to say intuition, and it's not that, but this is a shout out to him, who was turned into a fucking lich in my Curse of Strahd campaign that I play in. No need to revisit that. But you see a group of adventurers, 2 strong. They have the sigil of Shantea emblazoned on their armor and vestments. You see them fall, one by one, in a dark and distant land. So you see them travel for years, decades, and then fall one by one in a dark and distant land, until an auburn-haired woman is all that remains. She grits her teeth, cries out in pain as her features pale, her teeth lengthen. Undeadness blooms across her face. She is swallowed and carried upward into darkness. You see nightmares unfold, the stretch of death across a once precious land. You see the ancient. Yeah, I just wanted to shout it out. Brian and I have really gotten in the habit of, like, shouting each other's campaigns in these, like, deep lore cuts. Oh my gosh, dude. Yo, Azzy, get in here, bugles up. Let me circle back on Mr. Goat Farbuckle. Excuse me, Mr. Fartbuckle? Your table is ready. Unfortunately, you've been banned from this restaurant for obvious reasons. Please buckle your pants. But we were in a session of Curse of Strahd that I was playing in. And man, Brian referenced in the Amber Temple these statues to old heroes. And some of them were descendants of PCs from this campaign that we're prepping right now. You know what I mean? Like, that's the type of shit. I love it. Okay, this same thing continues. You see a man playing a harp, a skeletal hand working the strings in time. You see him touching a corpse. I'm just joining two human. You see him touching a corpse. His body stiffens, his eyes glaze. You see him becoming a corpse himself, yet still moving. A new power grows within him. Bones break beneath his fingers. And the grave yawns open before him. This is a shout out to my boy. Big rips, dude. And if it comes up in Convo, I'm calling him the Grave Harp. I love the idea that when this acolyte of Shantea was made a lich, that was almost like calling upon dark power, perhaps the power that Bala reigns over. And thus that opened the door for Bala herself to make a lich of this man, Steffentern, this orc that died within the Dark Hearth and was offered a power and took it. Okay, so the third, a cave-in, that's what happened and ended up leading to the situation that they're in the Dark Hearth. Starvation, death, darkness, save for those few left alive seeking salvation. You see the offerings of blood. Let me change this. You see blood rising and offering, and a choice offered. An orcish man, an adventurer, a friend to dragon and great wizards, give in to his hate. Blood drains from him. And his power swells. Miners that became his violent host. You see this undead force you've been fighting. The orc. Steffentern. Let's go. Cool. Okay, pulled to the astral plane, Sea of Blood. This is specifically for Kaldor. Very cool. So that happens elsewhere. Cool. Alright, sick. So after that, they'll have to deal with this. If they make it past here, this is essentially his phylactery inside this diamond. And this is another entrance that leads into the chamber that holds this great tree. There, of course, will be another symbol spell here. Let's see what that one is. I kind of forget. Oh, no, I remember. DC 19 intelligence save or spell loss. Another variant of symbol. When triggered, the symbol of spell loss begins to attack the minds of spellcasters within 60 feet. Each caster must attempt a saving throw every round he or she is in the area. Failure means that the highest level spell prepared is lost. The symbol remains until it has erased 60 levels of spells. Huh? Insane. Enos. Azzy, that's hilarious. I hope it was worth it. He needs a large undead minion that's a secondary BBG. We're talking about Steffentern. Yeah, he has a essentially a Rakshasa that was freed from this drow demon and is equal for revenge and thus has basically come into service of Steffentern. as a reward for that, has learned a good deal of magic and become immune to it itself. That's how I'm kind of justifying the Rakshasa being there, although it has been killed. Okay, note. Both Valnor and Slight have been cursed by the Rakshasa. Cannot benefit from rests, short or long. That's a biggin. That's a biggin. Dude, I'm doing really well, Azzy. I appreciate it. Busy and feeling a bit challenged, but I'm slowing down as much as I can while also just, you know, continuing to do what I gotta do. But I appreciate that, man. I'm solid. I'm in rehearsal for 2 shows that are an hour away, 45 minutes away, in different directions. So it's like, it's just crazy. I mean, this is a level 18 encounter. Yeah. It's about to get a lot more gnarly as well. Like, someone will probably die. They're going to bash in with this. The cleric has already used 2 channel divinities. I don't know if they have a third. They might at level 18. But if they make it past and through here, they will enter a wide and beautiful chamber. A space once holy in the natural world, the tree of giving of Indasora. This tree whose roots stretch upward towards the earth, as these enormous boughs and twisting trunk blossom in an inverse status within this chamber. And though the stalks are thin and the wheat itself chafed and challenged, wheat still grows within this room, unbidden, bursting through despite the presence of this dark power. Such is the ancient status of Shantaea's presence here. I love the idea, and I'm stealing this from, or I'm stealing the visual of an upside down tree from an incredible DM named Matt. I had him on Between Two DMs like a year ago. He runs the Game series on YouTube, which if you haven't seen, you should check it out. It's hilarious. But I wanted to like give it more than that. I wanted to give it like a real place in the center of this lore. And this is what happens, you know, whenever you go from feeding a magical tree with light and love to feeding it with blood and darkness. So they will come in and it will kickstart a reference point of this war of the gods, of a time when the jealousy of Saloon and Maliki led to the death of a young and beautiful girl who was pulled by the scorpions into the darkness and became this goddess of blood, Bala. And almost like a mother weeping over her, Shantaea felt responsible, as her daughters, Maliki and Saloon, were the ones whose recklessness brought this to bear. So I want everyone's opinion. This is really where I want to tuck in, is this encounter. Because Trent is going to be here, and I feel like because of the Lich's spell levels, someone will probably die. You know? Yo, Canadian Kiwi! Hell yeah, dude. Or dudette. Please do. Give us an ask. Chat will help you out. I'll help you out. Appreciate you coming through. The range of that effect of the spell loss is 60 feet. Yeah. Yeah, baby boy. It's a big deal. Okay, let me get our music right. Oh, nope. There we go. Cool. Cool. Yeah, fire away, man. I love questions. Come on. But this, for me, is the biggest part I want to, like, tuck into. And it's made all the more complicated because as
You know, this enormous kind of ogre, Trimpuer Graf, is coming down. He's basically coming down to have a hard conversation. Whenever he took this deal, this patronage, yous, and he's talking to Bala, he's talking to a literal demigod, yous didn't make it clear. I ain't nobody's bellhop. I ain't nobody's gopher.
And basically Trent, when accepting this power, didn't realize it like came with conditions. He's more or less the champion of this blood goddess. And what the fuck would that even mean? Like, what would the implications be? Even for a villain, right? To be pulled into servitude against one's will, much less in, you know, such a complicated dynamic. Okay, let me check, see if we got some cues. I want to check out this cue. Yo, 50th Canadian has us on the edge of our seat. Oh, there it is. Let's go. So I'm running a D&D game in Minecraft. Okay, first off, let's start there. What? And we use it for the battle maps. Oh, that's sick. Okay, that's amazing. I should have continued reading. I'm currently building an underground temple where the reason it existed is for it to be a knowledge bank. Ooh. For this organization that owns it. What do you think I should add to the map? Interesting. Well, that is a great question, and one that I think I need more information to answer effectively. It also feels to me that this might take a minute, but that's okay because we're kind of in between beats, and I need to come back and focus on what Trent will be doing anyway, so that works out. And thank you fundamentally for asking. I assume you're a DM, eh? Yeah, of course. So you're running. Got it. So I guess my questions would be, who is this organization, right? Are they criminals? Are they sages? Are they protecting this information? Are they selfishly guarding it? You know, is the information itself like lore and knowledge? Is it spell work, or is it like, you know, they're holding all the patents? You know, like it's mechanical. It's physically applicable. I'm curious about those things. I'm also curious if you're treating it like this is off on its own, like this is a vault built in the wilderness or in the Arctic or whatever, versus this is in the middle of Neverwinter, right? Cool. Wait, what's the range of effect? Because if there's a warlock, you might be okay if they have extended Eldritch Blast. Oh, they're going to bite it for sure, Marsh. Come on. Add a sheep? Add a sheep to the Chamber of the Gods? It's like it was later sacrificed. Okay, so Avendasora, right? This tree. And I've toyed with the idea that this is not just a kind of homage to the Harvest Circle in the Alagondar tomb, which, by the way, I didn't mention this, but I want to repeat it so I don't forget. This was, I think, Evie's suggestion, and it was killer, of course. But, like, the Alagondars themselves, that many of these skeletons that trudge through the space, and it's reminiscent of the Elden Ring visual, many of them still wear the colors of King Brunner or of House Alagondar. Their servants, oftentimes literally behind them in simple retinue, wear frocks and tunics that mimic that of their lords. But this once holy place is now desecrated, and many of these coffins and shrines crack open. Yeah, their bodies summoned with artificial life, the cruel power of a blood god. Literal nobles, their vestments well kept in this dry air, lurch and lumber, their hearts and minds long forfeit. Cool. I thought maybe for a second we would get to the Lich's Chamber. It seems like it probably won't happen, but he has a copy of a book that's been very pivotal to the kind of the history and the lore and a lot of the action of this campaign. Right, there's a portal to the princes. He can no longer go. It pisses him off. That spell loss save is incredible. So Vindasora, right, it stretches upward, its roots growing in reverse towards the surface. All that sit within it receive a free commune spell with Shantea. It's now rotted, though, corrupted by the power of Bala. Blood oozes from its trunk. Its once proud limbs are shriveled and brittle. The tree roots, once growing in reverse upwards towards the surface, now bend back down. And just for reference, that's why at the top, it looks like those, twisting serpents breaking into and out of the ground. That's the roots having come up and now called back below by Bala. The tree roots are now covered with a glaze of rotted red, corpses by the hundreds, the thousands. They stretch along the roots and up the wide-stretching trunk. I want to build a visual of almost like the base of the trunk. You don't notice it at first, but is decayed bodies. Like that's how corrupt this goddess of murder has made it. Okay, so we have the Harvester's Prayer. They'll have this little reference of the War of Immortals. That's just kind of the lore in the backup. And then a small girl will step forward. Okay, so I'm with all of this. This is great. Let me just get rid of this. Okay, cool. So, Trent. And then Bala. So the big thing for me here is, as always, right, when prepping, and this, if I had to like put it down, if I had to like put one thing down as truly the most helpful thing in terms of prep, not necessarily in terms of performance or execution during the actual session, but really clearly and coherently with highly specific and described intention, establish the motivation of your NPCs. And even if you don't know, even if you're just starting a campaign, right? Like if you have nothing, by just knowing that the baker wants to sleep with the butcher's wife, you have something, right? Whether or not that ever comes up, you don't know. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe you just see these two people arguing. Who knows? Maybe it becomes a through line and the butcher becomes the BBEG. Whatever. But in the case of Trent, God, what a figure. He has run the Blind Jackals for almost 40 years. He's enormous. His influence and control within this shadow network is absolute. I mean, it's reminiscent of, I hesitate to say the cartel in Mexico because that has such a violent connotation. The Jackals are very violent and highly competent, but are more thieves and smugglers, right? Purveyors of stolen or secret information or goods more than they are anything else. Now, sometimes you got to crack a few heads to be able to make a clean getaway. Yeah. But Trent is here today because he had entered into this partnership with this divination wizard years back. He was the main BBG, Owen Undertow, who's now dead. Shout out. Big rips. But they basically had been able to like help each other. And that interaction had extended to the Drow. The Drow were looking for components for dragon eggs, for dragon parts. And this wizard needed those very items to activate some of these holy spots and step across time. Trent had explosive powder, which was extremely helpful to the Jackals. To the Drow. So he was able to almost like connect these two parties, this wizard and the Drow, and now has an active relationship working with the Drow. Bala kind of came up. He was approached. Who has more lives under their belt in terms of blood spilled than the head of a violent syndicate? But like I says, I didn't exactly know that I had to read any fine print. I didn't know it was like that. I thought there was a little bit more of an understanding. I keep doing what I do. I just do it with the knowledge of you appreciating, right? I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea. I'm nobody's servant. That was me just riffing as Trent. Here's... Oh shit, I have to type something or it will go away. Trent is so pissed, man. Pissed. Feels conned. But will remain composed, if not extremely firm. And I'm not quite all the way there, but
You know, Trent sounds a little bit more like your uncle from Staten Island, you know? Like the guy that you never knew exactly what he did for work, but he was always there for you. He's there for family.
Canadian, I appreciate that. Let me get through this initial push with Trent. I'll go back. Appreciate the rundown. We'll come back. I'm asking to trade a new champion in exchange for more blood. There's precedent. And this is a shout out. This is a shout out to the first campaign that I ran as a player with Brian. Super fun. But I texted it to myself, so let me check this out. Okay, cool. Yeah, wants to pawn the responsibilities of Ballas champion.
When the dread bone devil tricked the twin soul. You said so yourself.
I had one other bit that I want to get down. Let me see what I have for Baller real quick. Cool. Okay, cool. Add phone stuff. Okay, got it. Excuse me as I add the phone stuff. Speaks words of thanks. I mean, like, who is more appreciative as a blood goddess? Like, who would a blood goddess be more appreciative of than a PC playing D&D? This campaign's almost 4 years deep. You know how much blood has been spilled? Probably over 50,000 points of damage have been given out. You know what I mean? Evie, I love that. Keep it up. Okay, let me just get through this beat, and I'm going to examine these Canadian words. Balla speaks words of thanks to the party. Right, cool. Let me just get this down real quick. Thank you. Your full. Your offering. So constant. Many. For all blood. All ends. In my embrace. Scare not. Came to consume. To take the soil from Shantae and the stars from Saloon. This is her like explaining kind of the lore of this war of gods. I mean, what is time to a god, you know? But what takes more than death? All mortals end in my embrace. And she's just going to be like a little girl covered in blood that's summoning pools of attack that just drop people. Okay, cool. Sick. All right. Let's check this out. Canadian, what you got? Be thinking, guys. Be thinking, though. And we'll rip on Canadian here. As in, like, rip some ideas out in support. Much love. But be thinking about what this interaction would look like, right? This is a magical and ancient tree. Clearly the mill was built out from that, and the Allegondars chose this as a holy site for a reason. It was once a cold pool that was in this ever-flowering tree, right? Some of that will be almost like cutscened as they enter the chamber. They'll see those elements that I have grayed out in the owlbear right here. Boink, 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 boink. And then I will describe this as no longer being blue, but you see it as it is now, a murky red. Right? So that will be kind of a fun intro, and then we'll also set up Bala's dialogue, I think, in a great way. But be thinking about what the heck this lich would have to say to Trent. I think they're both people that have lost their way morally, but do have some sort of code and immense reservoirs of power. But now both of them find themselves limited in some degree or fashion by a higher power. Would they work together? Would they be contentious? Okay. I cannot wait to scope this out. I love it. I love it when people do this. Canadian, thank you. Also, like, I love this. I guess, I mean, obviously kiwis, well, obviously are my favorite fruit. Let's get that out there. Young Carpe couldn't believe what he was tasting, and I still can't. But we all know kiwis are not indigenous to Canada. I assume that's where this riff comes. Like, is the idea that only 50 have ever grown there? I'm probably overthinking it. Okay. Name. The Order. Okay, it's called the Order. Their goal is to keep the world in order. Makes sense. They keep people in their own world. Throw anyway. In their own world. Though anyway. The players were sent to another world by an explosion, and so because of that, they are on the Order's list. Okay, got it. Like, they have been a part of some disorder, and the Order's like, nah, we don't want that. The Order has been wiped out almost completely. Cool. From an event where they fought something and lost. I love that. Cool. The only survivor made a deal with the devil. Oh, let's fucking go. To live and not be mad with bloodlust. Very similar to Stefan Turn, the Lich stat block. That's very cool. So, to live and not be mad with bloodlust. The players are here to find a way back to their world before their survivor kills them. Sweet. So, they're at the world where the Order exists, you know? There is a living library inside where they keep most of their records and other stuff. Sweet. The library has lost most of this information from the survivor going mad. And destroying most of the books, but not all. Wow, the library spirit is like a grandma with Alzheimer's. That's like really poignant. The library spirit is like a grandma with Alzheimer's. Congratulations, 50th Canadian Kiwi. You've made it to the list of chat comments that I've screenshot. Well done. Okay, let me scroll up and get the original question. Okay, I'm currently building an underground. What do you think I should add to this map? Okay, great. So, oh, no. All good. I got what I needed. That was well explained. I appreciate that. Evie, I hope you're still fucking rambling. Here's what I'm picturing in my mind. So let me give you what I'm picturing, and then I'm going to break you off, and then I'm going to go back because I need a solution for why this lit, like, I'm not sure. I know what the Lich wants. I haven't told you guys, but I know what Trent wants. I'm not sure what I, the DM, want. So in my mind, Canadian, this is almost like I'm picturing like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, some of those labyrinths that are kind of risen in the sky. Some of them are on the ground, I guess. But more or less like an enormous complex that is itself a bit of a riddle or a bit of a maze to crack. A living library that's suffering from Alzheimer's. I mean, I wonder if there is some of that like fading memory, like there's almost a question that's asked. Yo, 50 Canadian, get in here. I need to make that a little bit smaller. I didn't know that was so big. Appreciate you coming through, man. Thanks for the follow. You're in the right spot. All right? You're in the right spot. Okay, cool. I would say, though, that decide what you want the build-up to be to this. If there's only one guy left, right? Ish. This one survivor that made this deal, which is what Stefan Turns is, and I love that through line. We need to know, like, is he going to be there patrolling? Is he trying to get there from somewhere else and they get there first? I would probably have some sort of situation where it's almost like they're pulled into a book, and there's huge chunks of almost like a tableau of like history that they're seeing, like words from the page brought to life. But then there's these huge swaths of blankness. Or you see like a knight that's actively slaying a dragon just like disappear and become a farmer, and then a knight again, and then something in between. Almost like the stories this book contains are in question. I would have the survivor be able to have almost like layer actions where pulling out certain books cause certain effects. I think you could also make them geographical within the battle map, right? So they know that, oh fuck, if he goes to that one to the north, it's gonna, spawn a lightning bolt spell within the chamber, or whatever the layer action would be. That way it gives a little bit of like ground control, and maybe being like, oh shit, one of the levers has lightning on it, one of the levers has fire on it, and then one of the levers has a skull, and so maybe the lightning goes off and he starts heading towards the skull one. I definitely would be like, stop his ass. The place itself, stores of, again, like in my mind, this is like a magical space with magical books. You know what I mean? The books are the memories of the libraries. Okay. I have redstone ready to blow up part of the map. Is redstone like dynamite? You're like, I have dynamite ready to fucking go. Damn it, I lost my chat box. There it is. There we are. So that's what I would do. I would, if they're non-books, if they're like, I would just give some physical, even if it's like a chamber in the stone that something is fitted into. I think there needs to be some physical representation of data, memory, whatever it would be, right? And then I would clarify what the redstone is, unless it probably already has been from the sounds of it, but I would clarify what it is. But that sounds really rad, Canadian. Thank you for sharing that. I think that is sick. When is the game? Like, when is that running, Whew. Okay. Love that. Love a good deviation. A deviation, and now we are back, baby. Your boy's back, baby. Just want to move the music just a little bit. Cacophony of sound where the books are all trying to tell their contents. Oh my god, that's incredible. Definitely use that. Copy that, Canadian. Well, break legs with that. I would do that as well. It does like force damage. Oh my gosh. Okay, cool. Here we go. Where we at? Cool. So Trent basically is like, nah, just take one of them. And I think Bala basically is like, whoever is killed and brought here, willing or unwilling, if they are able, if they are capable. But why would a god want a weaker champion, right? Mm-hmm. And Bala is also gonna, show a lot of the, almost like some of the through lines of areas where these monsters, these great beasts like Maroth the Red, these long slain beasts of legend in some cases, their spirit of violence and death is held by this goddess. And as they enter, she'll cry out, "Come,
Come, rise. Quicken as my children, my champions. Thank you. Your offerings are many for all ends in my embrace. The Scaravan and Thalos came to consume, though they came to take the soil from Shantea and the stars from Saloon. It is I that truly come. For what takes more than death?
It is I that truly come. Don't take that out of context. All mortals end in my embrace. I love that. So basically what we need with Anabala is... Great. Okay, I put that up here, right? Let me anoint one in your name. And then I think Bala basically, and then I think to Stefan turn, he's like, he offers good news. One of them has it. That diamond. Who is it? Hell. Torcoon's tower. I think Stefan Turner's like has insight enough to know that, you know, this guy's telling the truth. Then fall. Then they will be bled. Her name. Till that from that dark jewel is given up. So here's the thing. And this was why, like, I don't mind weaving threads that are going to, like, somewhat crash together. You know what I mean? Sometimes that for me is particularly electric or kinetic. I think that, again, if you know the motivation of your NPCs, you're going to have enough 95% of the time. Let's chat about it. For Stefan Turn the Lich, he lived a good life. I mean, he was honestly an adventurer of some renown, some capability, and was here more or less like working, but was also there like here like for himself to like renew a little bit of gold, to rest up for a little bit before he headed out back the direction of Mirabar. And when this cave-in happened in the Dark Hearth, and, you know, these ill omens and this violence and starvation started to turn inward on this group of mostly dwarves, a goddess appeared, an option, a choice. For there's no violence that beckons an evil god quite like fraternal violence, right? Or the violence amongst kin, or those that knew or loved one another. It's particularly savory. I just love the word savory. It got me in my tracks. But Stefan Turn, just an orc at the time, he wasn't beholden to Shantea. He wasn't one of these dwarves that had lived and milled there their whole life. He took the offer, not knowing the full terms. His blood was drained, his power increased, and yet limited to this radius of these chambers, and designated as a keeper of them. Over that time, people came and went, some serving the goddess, some not of their own accord. But there was one that came frequently, to use this mirror of the prince and step into the plane of hells, and that was a figure by the name of Telkun. One that, if you're familiar with Silver Marches in 3E, you know well, but a half-drow, half-fiend sorcerer that has this epic device that I forget what it is called, but it essentially necessitates a DC 20 wisdom save, or pulls a creature into like a pocket dimension held within this enormous orb. Telkun lives in a tower that can also travel across the plains. He is ancient, he is near untouchable, but he is hated by both drow and devil alike. The weird wrinkle that I didn't expect is that Vexel is now with Trent. And that's sort of like, well, shit. Well, let's wrap this the fuck up. Root, I love you. Welcome, big boy. Bugles up. Because the Stefan Turn didn't really fully know the conditions, right? He's been here, 1,100 years? A little more than that? Fuck, he wants to get out. The only place he could go was this one pocket in the hells by way of this mirror. And now that itself has no purpose because the destination was these chained Sibriuxes, these like lore keepers of knowledge, but those lore keepers have been removed. So it's like if you could only go to one place and it was like a gym in your facility, but then they took all the machines and weights out of it and it's just an empty room. The fuck? It sucks to be this guy, lording over these ancient undead dwarfs. And at first, yes, these people that had treated him poorly, there was some joy. Their deaths were slow, meaningful. He took his time. And in some cases, he kept family members alive as he made them watch the raising from deadness of their kin. Watch them shamble lifeless and mindless, doing his bidding and that of Bala. But for him, God, he wants Telkun bad. He wants the guy that stole these Sibriuxes. And he needs it. So, yes, he serves Bala. Yes, he's here begrudgingly. But Trent can offer him information. The person that has the fucking diamond in question is Vex. So what that will look like is Trent will basically offer in front of Stefan Turn that that black diamond, the one that was asked about, that the wizard had. One of these has him because they killed him. Ain't no question about that. And hopefully hearing the discussion of this dark diamond and the talk between Trent and Stefan Turn, Vexel will have an opportunity to be like, here it is. And I think if he gives it to him, I think Stefan Turn tries to dip immediately. And I think he's going to go try to fuck up Telkun. So again, that's an option maybe for the party to help themselves out, to even or thin the stakes a little bit. Side quest idea. Local mountain city hosts a dragon race where dragon riders race an obstacle course while keeping their dragon's extravagant dress intact. The name? Rooklaw's Dragon Race. That's a good one, Rook. That's a good one. How you living, baby boy? Happy Monday. You got the swamp cooler pumping? How's it feeling up there in the Nard? You talk to me about the Nard, would you? Okay, let me check this. So we got the recap. That was long ago. Simple spell we've walked through. I forgot I had the second one already laid out. The Tree of Life I feel good about. They will have the Harvester's Prayer. They'll go through. They'll see other stuff. They'll be attacked. As that's happening, I'll be cutting back and forth between the chamber of this holy site of Indesora, and I do think he will beat the shit out of Vexel for 3-4 rounds. You know, what would that look like? You know, the last time Trent saw Vexel gave him the blueprints to the mythal wards of Silvery Moon, much to the chagrin of the party. He told him then what he told him now, that you're a friend of the Jackals. At the same time, he's aware that the Jackals have been undermined by the Storm Chasers and that Vex is still rolling with them. I think, but first, shit. Offers a truce. You looking to join the winning side? Don't you want to be on the side that wins? Insight +7. Say +8. This guy's a crime boss. And I have Trent somewhere else, but I just want to have that there. Okay. So I think there will be an opportunity offered, basically to Vexel, like, how should this go? I know you weren't following to come give me a cupcake. You looking to join the winning side? The dead one. And depending what he does, a fight might break out, might beat him down a little bit, and then try to cuff him and bring him down. I don't think there's really any way 1v1 Vex can win. Trent has like 300 hit points. He's huge. Also, the party's level 18. You know what I mean? So he'll bring him down into this chamber. We won't kickstart the kind of cutscene of the gods yet until everybody gets there. But I think the exchange will be between Stefan Turn and Trent. I don't think that like the Bala has arrived yet, right? I mean, I think it's sort of like we're waiting. So I think that is whenever Trent will offer over, you know, offer that one of them has it. Great. And if Vexel doesn't give up the diamond, then Stefan Turn, this lich, has reason to want to see every single one of the party members dead or subdued until he can go through systematically and find this fucking diamond. Such is his rage at this deceiver, Talkun. Okay, so I'm feeling great about this. They'll come in. They'll beef. It's going to be a sticky spot for Vex. Yeah. If the party makes it through, then, you know, a battle will break out in that kind of chamber of Indesora and here. After we see this kind of, you know, cutscene of the gods, so to speak. Yeah. Okay. Time to write the intro, guys. And it's so funny. Sometimes the intros to me feel almost unnecessary because it's so clear where we are. But we haven't played in like 2 weeks. Okay, cool. Is not with you. Cool. What of these gods? These mortals? Their qualms and quibbles. Is there much? What do we say? No, of the evil, or what separates one from the other. You are within the Dark Hearth, an ancient dwarven mill, once beloved and sacred. Shantea, now lorded over by an undead orc of immense power, in the name of the blood goddess Bala. You fought him, but his power bit back at you until he stepped through. He stepped across the dimensional threshold, disappearing from the chamber. You pressed onward, seeing runework defiled and crossed over, mantras and prayers of the harvest turned into odes to death and decay. You came to a door that led deeper within, a risen stone archway around it, inlaid with intricate and near hidden runework. Seeing carvings and indentations. Cool. Excellent. You found yourself at the foot of a hemlock tree, looking upwards into the glossy and lifeless eyes of Greaves, the Ishildor, who swore his blade to your companion Valner, and now hangs by the neck from a noose of his own making. Whew! That's cold. You rushed to the entrance of the Dark Hearth in full and found it sealed with stone. You tracked your guide, Bilbin, and found a path slowly circling back to the dark, to where you started. But cresting the hill was Bilbin And another, a larger figure. That when the once stealth and training had brought you closer, revealed himself as the man behind so much of the woes you have been faced with. Trent Poirograph, the leader of the Blind Jackals. Good. They're good. Arrest these. And seeing him speak words unknown to you, Trent peeled back the earth itself like a wound in the rock. And descended into the enormous and hollow tree roots of a tree. You followed Vexel without hesitation, but found yourself, your footing slick. You clattered off the side of the wood, your rapier reverberating till you silence it. You see the heavy footfalls of Trent Poirograph break into a silhouette. Cool, let's fucking go. What of these gods, these mortals? Their qualms and quibbles, is there much difference? What do we even know of the evil pantheon? Or what separates one from the other? Storm Chasers, you are within the Dark Hearth. An ancient dwarven mill once beloved and sacred to Shantea, now lorded over by an undead orc of immense power in the name of the blood goddess Bala. You fought him, but his power bit back at you until he stepped across a dimensional threshold, disappearing from the chamber. You pressed onward, seeing cavings and indentations, defiled and crossed over. Mantras and prayers of the harvest turned into odes to death and decay. You came to a door that led deeper within, a risen stone archway around the door, inlaid with intricate and near-hidden runework. Vexel, you found yourself at the foot of a hemlock tree, looking upwards into the glossy and lifeless eyes of Greaves, the Ice-Shield Orc, who once had sworn his blade to your companion Valnor, and now hangs by the neck from a noose of his own making. You rushed to the entrance, and found it sealed with stone. You tracked your guide, Bilbin, and found a path slowly circling back to where you started, where he'd left you. But now, cresting the hill was Bilbin and another, a large figure that once stealth and training had brought you closer, revealed himself as the man behind so much of the woes you've been faced with. Trent Poirograph, the leader of the Blind Jackals.
You did good, Orestes.
And seeing him speak words unknown to you, Trent peeled back the earth itself like a wound in the rock and descended into the enormous and hollow roots of a tree. You followed Vexel without hesitation, but found your footing unsound. You clattered into the side of the wood, and your rapier reverberating until you silence it. And you hear the heavy footfalls of Trent Poirograph break into his silhouette. And that's where we'll pick that shit up. Okay, let's go. Guys, great work. Let's go. Canadian, nice to meet you. Digital handshake, hello. Good to have you. I typically run a prep stream on Monday. It's usually a little bit earlier, more like 10:30 Pacific, 10:30 a.m. Pacific. And then pretty regularly on Fridays, I've been playing through the Elden Ring DLC. My rehearsal schedule is challenging that, but I hope to get it in this Friday. But man, this was great, guys. I missed y'all, missed kicking it. I feel like we got a ton done, and we helped Canadian. That's a win. That's a double win. Okay. You know how I like to end these streams? I gotta raid somebody that's also doing D&D, or I just raid someone that is like my boy or boyette. Oh my gosh, we're raiding Robbie. There's no question. He's doing some prep. Homebrew and hangout. Okay, get in there. Done. Guys, Robbie is a hilarious and extremely talented DM. He's handsome as hell. I love that I'm lurking on his stream right now and talking about him, which is funny. But truly, he plays over at Cloaks and Capes, TTRPG, does a bunch of live streams. He plays with another very talented DM. Her name is Escalia, who's also been on the show. But man, say what up to him. Like they're rad people and great creators. So if you can, oh my gosh, great. Okay, I love you guys. Hopefully see you Friday. Thank you everyone for coming through. Tell Robbie what up. And as always, man, take care of each other and take care of yourselves. Two very critical pieces of the puzzle. Compassion, my friend, for yourself and others. That's a message to myself. Okay, I love y'all. See you Friday. Peace.